Heyo, welcome back, Mystic Wonder fans. I'm here in Barcelona at the Science of Consciousness 2025, and let me tell you, it's been amazing. I was actually completely surprised at how many people here are so open-minded, interested about consciousness, the amount of idealists and panpsychists that are here attending. It's really been a great experience, and I can tell you that there is a lot of convergence going towards the post-materialist paradigm. It's very exciting time for science. We're going into a real paradigm shift. And I got to meet Deepak Chopra, a few of my other favorite philosophers. It's been a great experience. But in this video, what I wanted to talk about is, why are people so fascinated by consciousness? Why are there so many people doing it not only as a career, but a lot of people doing it, exploring it just as a passion, as a hobby, as a side project? Why are there so many people fascinated by consciousness? Why does it intrigue the masses? And I'm going to offer a few theories here. The first is, I think it's the greatest mystery, and I think people love mysteries. People love big questions that science can't seem to explain, because it's the unknown. It's the next frontier. It's that which has unlimited potential until it's discovered. Consciousness could be anything until we know what it is. There could be a number of different explanations or mechanisms or descriptions of what it is. So people love mystery. Number two, I think people have this intuitive knowing that consciousness has something to do with non-physical reality, within the possibility of an afterlife, the possibility of the soul, and therefore the possibility of God, I would say. The possibility of a reality independent of the mechanistic, deterministic, reductionistic, material universe. So the idea of consciousness and its relation to physical reality brings up these topics. And I think people are inspired by that, because by realizing about how much science does not know about consciousness, it shows them how much room there is for non-physical aspects or realms of reality. And so consciousness, the whole question of it, the hard problem and all that, it kind of points to this perhaps collective implicit memory of some realm beyond the physical, or a hint at the possibility of some aspect of reality, some dimension beyond the physical, some spiritual dimension of reality. Which brings me to number three, the spiritual connotations of consciousness. Because consciousness is intimately linked with the study of the self. Of course, my theory from a Vedantic perspective is that pure consciousness is the self. But even in modern psychology, of course, we all know the connection between consciousness and personality and psyche and mind. So the study of consciousness is really the study of one's very own self, the study of one's soul, you might say. And so, of course, spirituality is going to be intimately linked to consciousness. And then you have things, I attended a few amazing talks today about consciousness beyond the brain, consciousness surviving death, after-death communication, mediumship, out-of-body experiences, other anomalous experiences that science cannot explain, at least materialism cannot explain. But of course, there's the field of parapsychology, which studies such phenomena, which is actually growing much more popular and getting a lot more funding these days, because people are realizing, they're awakening that it is the next frontier. And consciousness is no longer something relegated to fringe domains. In fact, it's the study of entire disciplines. I went to a talk today about someone opening a consciousness education program, trying to bring consciousness education to high schools. And I met another person who got a PhD in consciousness. I myself got a master's in consciousness from Maharishi International University. So it's becoming a lot more of a mainstream area of study. And I think it's the future, because consciousness really is the next frontier. the study of the mind, the study of consciousness. Consciousness itself is infinite. It's without borders, without boundaries. So it's boundless. Without boundaries, it's has no limits. There's nothing else that exists that limits it. So it's therefore limitless. And if it's limitless, it's infinite. It's formless. It's a field of all possibilities. So it really represents, in the Vedic tradition, it's the absolute reality. It's that formless, timeless, indivisible, unobservable source of all experience, the knower of all experience, prior to all experience, and transcendental to all objective experience. And so the study of consciousness, I think, will be the very biggest paradigm shift in science. Once we shift from the current dominant paradigm of physicalism or materialism to a post-materialistic, idealist perspective, perhaps non-dual monism or panpsychism, because all three describe consciousness as fundamental or primary to reality. And so those are some of my thoughts on the Science of Consciousness conference and the state of the field of consciousness studies and the future of it and why people are so fascinated by it. And I'm sure there's more reasons why, but I think those are a few of the main ones, provoking the possibility of the soul, of spirituality, the possibility of after death, survival of consciousness, of other realms of consciousness, of psychic phenomena unexplainable by materialism, and the possibility of the idea that there is no death. Because if you are consciousness, and consciousness is all there is, as long as I am exists, you exist. So those are a few of my thoughts. Leave some of your thoughts in the comments. Why are people so attracted and fascinated and curious about consciousness? And thanks for watching.